Somebody's been telling the story before, but I told it again tonight. I've obviously changed some of the names and places and stuff like that. Just in case any of my family visitors, it's like, this is a story, and it's from Scotland, Hartford. And as you all know, in 1939, the Great War that broke out in Europe and then spread around the world. And in Glasgow, when the war broke out, all the men in Glasgow joined up. Every single man. There was no problem trying to recruit them, they all joined up. There were some men who joined up because they were anti-fascists and they'd missed the Spanish Civil War, so they were going to go and kill fascists. And other men joined up because, sure, they liked fighting and they were going to get paid to fight and kill people. And there was other men who were up for the adventure, and other men who were just scummed with a house full of wains and women and they just wanted to get about it. Always would give them peace. And they left. And the thing was, it wasn't just men that left, it was boys left as well. It was lads 14, 15 years of age, the recruiting sergeant didn't give a damn, they all joined up. They were all showed how to be a soldier. And to be a soldier was very, very simple. They learned how to polish your boots and point a gun and follow orders. And that was it. They learned how to do that, and then they were sent off to Europe. And when they got off to Europe, they discovered that being a soldier was not an adventure. It wasn't fun. In fact, actually being back at home with the wife and the wains would be a bit more fun. And they found that when they were out there, it was a very bloody and awful affair. You'd be going out to the front lines, and to survive there, you'd have to dig holes in the ground like animals, called foxholes. You'd have to cool down your foxhole, those bombs and screaming, and the noise of bullets all around you. And you'd have to cool down there in the front line. And even if you were not in the front line, you weren't safe. You'd be miles and miles away from the front line. You'd be maybe going through a field during the day, and the most beautiful field, it was summertime. You could smell the pollen and you could see birds moving. And you could be thinking to yourself, Jesus, if Jessie from home was here and asked to marry me, she'd say yes on the spot. And you'd be walking through this beautiful field, and there'd be a line of you, and there'd be a couple of guys at the front. You'd be walking there and thinking, how can this be warm and there's so much peace here? And the next thing, BANG! And a guy's 10 feet in front of you would be gone, there'd be a cloud of smoke, and all that would be left of them was a red smear in the air you'd have to walk through and breathe through. And all this began to slowly change the men that joined up. And worse than that, there was these two fellas that came to Glasgow. And one was called Pete and one was called Charlie. And he was in the middle of all this. All the bombs, and all the mines, and all the terrible things. And Pete kept Charlie straight, and Charlie kept Pete straight. And they went through all this, but it began to change slowly. And all the lads around them from Glasgow began to change slowly as well, and they could see it. There was one fella who were out patrolling with a big fella. And he talked to Pete and Charlie one day, and they were behind the hedge, and he said, Pete, Charlie, I can't see you. And they looked at him, they thought he was joking, but sure, there was not a mark on him, he went blind. There was another fella that knew. One day he woke up and he was screaming and screaming and screaming. He would open and ask what was wrong. He said his feet were burning. They took the boots off him and there wasn't a mark on his feet. He was taken away from the war as well. And this is how the war gradually seeped into people. And the worst part of it was the hypocrisy of the war. Because whilst all these young lads in Glasgow and all other parts of the world were out there in the front lines, they knew that the generals and the majors were nowhere near them. They were miles and miles and miles and miles away at the headquarters, making the orders, and passing all these different rules and stuff, and all these terrible things. And they also knew that these majors and generals, when they liberated an area, they loved to celebrate. They would get them, if they celebrated, they'd run out to their town, and get the mayor from the town, the best folk in town, and take over a castle or a hotel, and they'd have a great celebration, they'd be on all the newsreels, and be sent back home, we've liberated this area, a big party. But of course, the soldiers were going to be the party. Just the majors and the generals, all the high agents. And of course, Pete and Charlie knew this. And sometimes when they were gambling, they'd be talking, one day when we'll get into one of those parties, we'll sneak in somehow, and we can do it as well. It was just a joke. And it went on and on and on. And the war came on as well. And the worst thing with the war was, eventually, everybody began to get used to the sound of the bombs. And they get used to the sound of the screams. And they get used to the sound of the bullets. In fact, all that noise almost became like a melody in the background of their heads. They were so conscious, they were so used to it. What terrified them most was silence. especially the silence at night. The silence at night, when it was dark and it was quiet, that was the worst time ever. Because in the quiet and the peace and the quiet, suddenly you think. And you suddenly think about all you had seen and all you'd experienced and all that you had done. And realising all you'd seen and done made the war creep a little bit deeper into your body and creep a little bit deeper into your soul and corrupt you and twist you and send you mad. And some lads, they took to breaking into houses and areas to liberate you. Other lads were stealing dead bodies and all manners of things were going on. And Pete and Charlie, they had each other, they managed to keep each other balanced. They managed to stop themselves from being corrupted too much. And then one day, Pete and Charlie, it was evening, they were in one of the little foxholes. And they were cooling down. The bombs were going, the bullets were going, the screams of the dying were out there. But they were cooling down and they were gambling away. And they were playing their cards. And Pete was getting really angry with Charlie because he kept winning all his money and he was getting really pissed off with him. I want that money. And the sound of the bombs was getting nearer and nearer. And there was one particular bang! And Pete looked up. And Charlie was sitting there with his cards. And his head had gone, completely gone. The blood was coming out from his torn neck. And so instant was the death of Charlie that the signals from his brain were strung into his body. And he saw his hands actually moved and threw down his cards. And it was 3 aces and 2 queens. Well, from that moment on, Pete went wrong. His balance was gone, his anchor was gone, and he just threw himself into the full blackness of the war. He just threw himself in, and he done everything he could. And some of the stuff he done was heroic, and some of the stuff he did was horrific and horrendous. And one day he came through, he was lying in a field, and there was a body, some soldiers beside him, they were covered in blood, he was covered in blood, and he didn't know whether the enemy had killed him or he had killed him. And he realised then that he had become so corrupted, and he was going to die here in Italy, throughout the world. And as he lay there, he suddenly realised that if he has to die in Europe, then he was going to make sure he saw something beautiful. No matter how corrupted he became, he would see one last beautiful thing. And he lay there and he thought, where in Italy, where in this war can I see one last dazzling beautiful thing? And then he remembered those damn parties that the majors and the generals had. And he decided there and then he was going to get to one. And he was going to get to one, he was going to raise a glass to his mate Charlie. And so he went AWOL. And he left, and he had enough money on him, and he stole a jeep, and he went to the black market, he got a major's uniform, and he bribed, and he killed, and God knows what, and eventually he got up to Padua. And Padua had been recently liberated by the Allies. And there was a big hotel in Padua, and it had taken over the majors and the generals, were going to have one of those big celebrations. He managed to get up there. And he got in the line in front of this hotel with his major's uniform, feeling bold and gallus. And up he went, and he got up to the door there, and he realised he had to pay to get in as well. And he put his hand in his pocket, he'd have lasted the money with him. And he went up, paid the fella outside the hotel. He went up to the door, his major uniform, feeling all gallus, and the door was the queerest thing he'd ever seen. Because in Glasgow, the south end at that time, doors opened with handles and he walked into them. This door had a bar, and it was glass. You had to turn it and walk. We all know those doors, turning doors. Well, he didn't hesitate because he was a major now. He put his hand on and just followed everybody else and turned, and he walked in to the hotel. In the door, he was amazed. He walked in and he could hear the sound of glasses clinking together and the bubbles of champagne, and he could smell the perfume of all the beautiful women. And he opened his eyes and he could see all the majors and the generals, and they were all dancing. There was waiters there, there was food, there was champagne. It was the most amazing thing ever. And he found himself a seat and a table, and he sat down and he just looked at it all. He didn't have any money, he couldn't buy any of the dances or buy any of the food or buy any of the champagne, but he could sit there. This was it. The one time in his life he was going to see something absolutely dazzling. He sat there and he took it all in. And then a voice said, "Hello, Pete, how are you doing?" And he looked, and there was a fellow there standing there, a tall fellow with a long black coat, looking at him. "How you doing, Pete? Can I join you?" And Pete's head had been so wrecked to the wall he couldn't recognise the person at all. He was obviously a Glaswegian. He said, "Sure, sit opposite me." And the fellow sat down opposite him. "How you doing, Pete?" how are you doing? You've been up to amazing things, haven't you? And Pete just went, aye, aye. You could buy a friend a drink. I've no money. Ah, Pete, put your hand in your pocket, there'll be enough money there. So Pete put his hand in his pocket, and he took out, there was money, enough money to buy a bottle of champagne. So he called the waiter over, he got champagne, got glasses, and he started drinking. And his companion, he called the waiter over and he got food and he started eating. And when the champagne was done, sure, his companion said, put your hand in your pocket. He put his hand in his pocket, there was enough money for another bottle of champagne. And this went on all night. Every time he ran out of drink, his friend would say, put your hand in your pocket. And there was always enough money for one more bottle of champagne. And he got drunker and drunker, and his companion would say to him, ah, Pete, you're a fine, fine, fine man. The things you've been up to, you're a great man for the mischief. See that day there when we sold the tank to the Germans? Ah, that was amazing. That was the day you went, you took on a whole pile of Germans yourself, sloughed them, it was fantastic. And the way you got the money to get here, it was fantastic. Stealing the gold from the teeth of the dead, and sure, you didn't even bother to check when they were dead first. Pete, you're a marvellous man for the mischief. You're fantastic. And Pete sat there with the champagne, a bit drunk, and he was thinking, wow, I'm in Italy. I'm in a beautiful hotel, and there's a man here who appreciates my finer characteristics. And he drank and he drank. But you know the way it is when you're drinking, you go up and up and up and up the drink, and you get higher and higher, and you're happy and happy, and then boom, your mood falls. And this happened to poor Pete. His mood fell, and suddenly he was getting all cantankerous and complaining, and his companion said, Pete, what's wrong? He said, what's wrong? I'm sitting here, I'm drinking champagne and I'm a phony. I'm kidding, I'm a major, but tomorrow I'm going to have to back up to the front line, I'm probably going to get killed. And look at all these men here, the majors and generals that can enjoy themselves and carry on, and every day's a party to them. And his companion said, Pete, do you really want to be like these majors and generals here? They're just men and petty with it. See that man over there, that general with the red face drinking the whiskey? Sure, he caught his favourite whore kissing a soldier. And do you know what he done? He made sure that soldier and his whole platoon were sent up the first charge in Monte Cassino, and every single one of them were wiped out in seconds. Do you really want to be like him? Pete looked at him. His companion raised his glass and said, Pete, let's think of this. We're here, we have champagne, we have each other. We're enjoying ourselves tonight, the war's out there. And who cares about the war? And who knows what's right and who knows what's wrong? Who cares? 100 years from now, folk will be scratching their heads trying to figure out what it was all about. And they'll be looking at the protagonists and be thinking, there's the British Empire. Jesus, it was founded in the Punjab with 3 million starved to death. And then it spread all around the globe, and everywhere it went, folk were wiped out, exterminated from the planet. And even when the empire finishes 3 or 4 years from now, that killing instinct will carry on, and they'll have concentration camps in Kenya, there'll be ethnic cleansing in Malaysia, and death squads in Derry, and sure there'll be bombing runs against the men and the women of Iraq and Afghanistan. And then the others think, the Germans, the great thinkers and philosophers, the scientists of the 19th century, the experimenters with democracy and here where are they now, with their trains like rattling across Europe, and half of the trains are filled with the 6 million Jews, and the other half are filled with the gypsies and the gays and the dissidents and the Slovaks, and they're all going to be gassed. And who are you and I, Pete, to pick who's the right and the right way? Let us just enjoy ourselves tonight and drink and feel good and damn them all. Pete looked at his companion, and he remembered why he was here. He remembered why, and he picked up his glass and he said, here's to Charlie! And his companion lifted up his glass as well, and they chinked them together, and suddenly had that little spark. You know the spark you get when you drink with somebody and you get that absolute instant connection. And both of them looked at each other and they burst out laughing, and they gave out the great motto that is Scotland's motto. Here's to us, ways like us, damn few, and they're all deed. And with that, they burst out laughing, and they carried on drinking, and it was a fantastic night. And sure, the drink went on, the champagne went on, the food went on, and the night went on, the night went on. But of course, eventually, the dawn started to come on. And the beautiful women of Panama were fainting away in sleep. And the majors and generals were starting to get tired, and the waiters were slumping in the corner. And eventually, Pete's companion said to him, Pete, the sun's going up, I have to go now. I've got a busy day in front of me. I'm going to need you. Pete would say, that's grand, and he just sat back. Glass of champagne, a cigar now, and he was just sitting there, relaxed, and just savouring the last part of this beauty he could take with him for the rest of his life. And As he sat there, drinking, smoking, and taking it all in, suddenly he heard, "Ah!" And it was the most horrible sound filled the whole room, and it was the most utter blasphemy getting poured out. And he looked round, and he turned, and he saw his companion. And his companion was standing in the doorway, and he was pushing the door with one hand, and his other hand was tugging at something. And as Pete looked and looked and looked, he saw the hand that was pulling a tail. As he watched, his companion kicked his leg out, his coat fell over, and he had hooves for feet. And Pete looked and thought, Jesus, the devil himself, I've seen some queer things here. And the person went on roaring because it was the devil, and he started changing, and he was roaring, and the grass was coming in, and horns appeared in his head, and his body got bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually the devil put his arms in front of him, and he threw his hands out, and big balls of flame came from his hands, and he burst out the door, and he burst out the wall, and it was a huge explosion. And the devil stepped out. And as he was stepping out to the door, he turned round, and he did something that scared Pete to death. He looked right at him, and he pointed at him, and he said, "Pete, thank you for a wonderful, wonderful night. I'll be coming to see you again very, very soon."